name's not down, you're not coming in.
So, Sean, you've hosted so many different DJs playing so many different styles of music over the years. What is your favourite vibe, your favourite music to host to? What really gets you going on a night?
I think I've been conditioned into building things up. So, like for instance, when we're doing techno drum and stuff like that, you'd have like techno and trance at the beginning of the night. So I like my techno and I like my trance as long as if the trance is fat, I'm in it. So that will kind of be get me going. Do you know what I mean? And then that will until we get up to the harder jocks. Do you know what I mean? Then I suppose like at festivals and stuff, I kind of like it to have a groove, really. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd like my mid-tempo techno and house, tech house, even a little bit of drum and bass. Do you know what I mean? If I'm in the right mood for it, the crowd are up for that. Do you know what I mean? It's the right environment. But yeah, it's about, for me, I mean, I like it all. So at a festival, there's there's times for stuff. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of tend to adapt to whatever. I'm there because I'm into it. Do you know what I mean? So it's just a case of just I kind of like it all, but yeah, I can't. Yeah, there's a time and a place for everything. Do you know what I mean? That's how I look at it, especially with the MC. And it's not, MCing isn't for everything. Do you know what I mean? There are times that the MC will work and times that it won't work. And if you're at a festival, mainly that's going to be the best times for me as such, because there's going to be lots of those times when it can work. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's the best answer I can give you on that.
Well, you're a legendary MC in the techno sweatboxes, techno
Yeah,
dome
yeah.
for one. John Lunnan asks if you preferred playing on main arenas or in those sweatbox rooms.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I love going on main stage. Do you know what I mean? It's a big show off thing, and especially if it's a jock who I like and I know what they're gonna play, and we know what the mission is. But going back to that, so yeah, they're good. I mean, but that again is a case of you have to let me know exactly what's going on before I can go and do a main stage thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, who else is going to be there? What time do you want me on? And then I have to sit down and think about whether or not I want to deal with that. A small club.
What are the considerations there?
I don't know. It's just I don't know. I mean, nowadays, I'm crap at making decisions nowadays. Do you know what I mean? You asked me.
You don't have to.
No, but well, yeah, people give me bookings. Yeah, exactly. But even then, it's crap. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I suppose after my little boy, after I stopped doing lots of parties, and my little boy was born, I couldn't make decisions as to whether, because I didn't know what my head was going to be like in a month's time to go and do a gig. Do you know what I mean? I'd most probably make my mind up the night before. Do you know what I mean? If I want to go to that party, or even, do you know what I mean? Because I don't know. It's not like before where I had an agent or I had a diary and I could fill them out because that was my life. Do you know what I mean? Now it's a case of, yeah, how am I going to feel back then? What's going on? Do you know what I mean? Because I've got family and stuff to deal with. Do you know what I'm saying? So it really is a case of how I'm feeling. Do you know? So
did having a child change it sounds like it changed your entire approach to the job? Well, it's not a job, is it? I mean, that's the point. But
it changed.
You then moved it away from being a job.
Yeah, it was my everything, Raven. Do you know what I mean? That's all I did. Do you know what I mean? For years, every weekend I'd go out and stuff. But I had no girlfriend, no kids, no nothing. And then the little boy came along, and you don't know how much time you need to put into having looking after a kid. But every year as he got older, you realise that you need more and more time. It's like, well, I can't really be living how I was living before. Do you know what I mean? It's not possible. Do you know what I mean? And have a family.
Hold on. You're telling me they need more the older they get? Hold
Yeah.
on. Say that.
until they turn around and say to you, I don't need you no more. What are we talking about? Get out of my room.
Yeah, that's the dream. I can't believe that it takes more. I mean, I didn't know it could be more effort than looking after a fucking toddler.
Do you know what I mean? So I kind of thought, well, because it's me at the end of the day. If I'm going to go out and do your party, I'm chucking myself in fully. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's going to take me days to recover afterwards. So because of how I do things, I couldn't do the two. So I kind of stepped back and looked after the. Thought I'd take
and how
a
did
step
it
up.
change in terms of the bookings that you would take?
Well, that all changed because everything then became a bit closer to home. So I would do it. I'd do a gig if it's going to take me 40 minutes to get home, something like that. Do you know what I mean? If it's not too far from my house, do you know what I mean? Because I still like going out.
Yeah, but I've seen you in Birmingham last year. That's not 40
yeah, but
unless you're driving like an absolute madman.
That's an exception. That's an exception. That's only because of Ollie Thumper. Do you know what I mean? That's the only reason why that's happening. But outside of that, I haven't been anywhere else long distance. Do you know what I'm saying? What do you think? I think the furthest I might get to is Plymouth or Bristol. Now, do you know what I mean? Or if it's a Chapel of Chaos, Birmingham. But it's literally because it's Ollie Thumper that I'm there. So he kind of asked me to go down and do that, and I said, yeah. I mean, and again, it's because of Scorps. Do you know what I'm saying? Because he's like, I think you're going to like this place, Ribbzy. I've been down there, and it's like, it's definitely something. I'm like, all right, okay. So I went down. It was definitely something.
Oh, it is definitely something. Yeah. So I mean, it is very much in the mold of some of those old sweatboxes, isn't it? It's
absolutely.
It's 100 people or 120 people or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's low ceiling, bouncing around like big noise. So
serious rig.
Yeah.
Even with turntables. Do you know what I'm saying? Even with vinyl turntables in there, it's a serious rig. So that goes to show.
And what is it about your character, do you think, that drew you to those particular vibe parties, the small, grimy sweat boxes?
I think I don't know. It's the people, man. Do you know what I mean? They are welcoming, and they want to see you there, and they welcome you in, and they're there for the same reason what you are. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how many times you've seen them, you can always get on the floor with them guys. And so it's definitely the people. Otherwise, you wouldn't. If people got on your nerves, you wouldn't go, would you? No. So it's definitely the people. Well, but then that's been the pattern ever since I got into the harder side of techno. Do you know what I mean? It's because I got because that kind of stemmed off the back of Techno Drove, and then I got asked to do North because MC Easy was emigrating to Australia. Do you know what I mean? And so they needed an MC, so they asked me if I'd go in and do that. So that's how that came about. Do you know what I mean? And that was a sweatbox as well. But it's that enthusiasm and everyone being enthusiastic about the music and just going for it. Do you know what I mean? I think for me that's.
Well, it's not a transient fan base, is it? And actually, that's what I've been what I was interested by. I think it's with the reaction to you, but also the reaction to Scorpio, is that the people who liked it 25 years ago still like it today, because it's not something you just fall into and fall out of, which you probably could say about sort of more accessible rave music like happy hardcore or drum and bass. You know,
well, back in the day for me, those hardcore heads, those Gabber heads, didn't just listen to that. They listened to everything else. I think they were like the one type of raver that listened to everything else. But you can go to a drum and bass night, and you can guarantee they listen to Gabber. You can go to.
They might not even listen to certain types of drum and bass.
Yeah, exactly. But these boys listen to it all. Now, I don't know if that's the case now, because you can literally, there's like a world of hard techno out there now. Do you know what I mean? It's just like you can have rooms of it. Do you know what I mean? So they could literally that's all they do now. But back then, it was a case of it was that and everything else, because we had the back room, don't forget. Do you know what I mean? So you were always you were always hearing what was going on, because you had to go for the drum and bass arena or for the happy hardcore arena, or you might venture into the house arena that they had down the way, but chances of them venturing to Gabber room would be zero.
I remember, I mean, even the differences between happy hardcore and drum and bass. Because when I first got into hardcore, it was on its heart. It was shit. It was dead. It was like in the bottom room at Bagley's, you know, room 5, real
Bagley's, yeah.
Yeah, and I used to go in there because it was so hot, and I'd be going in the peak of summer. I'd like go wearing a pair of tracky bottoms, and I would strip off, so I'd be wearing a pair of shorts and like a singlet and a cap and white socks. I must have looked like an idiot anyway, which goes on to my point. So me and my mates were all into hardcore. We were like, should we go in the drum and bass room, man? Should we go into? Oh, yeah, we'll go and check out. Yeah. Walked into the drum and bass room, and I'm dressed like this with me singlet, me shorts, me cap, and me socks. And some bloke who's dressed all in Machino, so he's like a proper sort of jungle garagey type, you know, all in Machino, like the same shirt, the same jeans, you know, the same pattern.
Yeah.
And he looked me up and down, and he went, "What the fuck do you look like?" He had a point. I mean, he had a point, and I just went, said to my mate again. I went, "Should we go back in the hardcore room?" Yeah, let's go back in there. Yeah. Everyone's nice in there. No one gives a fuck what you're wearing.
So there you go. So that answers my point. It's the people, isn't it?
Yes.
If that guy was cool to you, you would have hung out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and to be honest, I think that like I do really like jungle. Do I really love drum and bass and jungle rave? No, I don't. Not in the same way. Like but I really like the music. I really like the music. But it's for me historically, hardcore has been like the people have been just sound and they smile. Everyone smiles, and I think that is. I think it's about your personality, isn't it? And my personality.
I went to a club in London once recently, a couple of years ago now, and I was smiling on the microphone in this club, and this garage MC came up to me and says, "What are you smiling for? People don't trust you when you smile, you know." All right, okay.
I'm surprised he didn't ask you what it was. What's that thing you're doing?
What was that? They teeth? What? Teeth? Yeah. He was having a go at me for smiling behind the mic, which is a strange one, properly weird. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
So that put you on a bad one.
And Stuart Hughes asks, as we're on the sort of the sweatbox discussion. Stuart Hughes asks, how hard can Ribbz go?
Loft Groove the hard. He used to go HMS hard, rest his soul.
Well, Helmut Lichtenstein asks, how was it emceeing for Loft Groover's speedcore sets? It says that Ribbz suited that genre perfectly. Very cranium shattering dog's bollocks.
Yeah, it was properly over the top, and I mean, I say properly over the top. It was. I had a mission. The mission was to hit every beat.
That's a lot of beats.
Yeah, and then make sure the stuff on the breakdown, whatever breakdown you got.
So, in terms of that, like, do you like speedcore? As the first question.
No, it's not mine.
No,
I mean, no.
Okay, no, but that's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Even you, who likes everything, doesn't need to like everything. That's absolutely fine. People do like it, right? That's fine. It's not very musical. I think we can both agree on that. I just it's too much for me. I'll go up to about 200, and that's about my limit really in terms of what I can sort of.
Well, I've been going through some vinyl recently and pulling out like old techno and old techno and some old trance. Dude, that was really fast. 150 BPM, some of that stuff. Do you know what I mean? And
it's not really fast, is it? Compared to like that's half the speed of Loft Groover.
But it's still fast. Do you know what I'm saying? It's still fast. But yeah, recently I've been kind of cranking my techno at about 135, 140.
It's getting old.
And it's a good pace. It is a good skanking pace. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, you do kind of sit in a groove on it. I don't necessarily play it out that fast.
Well, in terms of Loft Groove, and you know in HMS, and you've done some of those sets. The reason you believe yourself to be a skilled MC is partly over the years is because you know the tunes. If you don't like those tunes, you don't know those tunes. Does that pose a problem?
I don't think I'd be MCing for you if I didn't like your tunes.
No, but you've MC'd for HMS Loft Groove and you don't like that sort of music. So therefore,
No. That it's not a case of don't liking. I think you're kind of missing the point a little bit. It's a party, and normally he's on near the end. Do you know what I mean? If you got him in the middle,
yeah, but you won't know his tunes, will you? Because you're not into speedcore.
no, but but that's what I'm saying. That's what the whole beat of. But it wasn't. It's not speedcore though, was it? It wasn't. God, it kind of did the head. It wasn't like a. It wasn't like a. It weren't like that, man. Do you know what I mean? It was like a different. There's time you just have to just step back and let them get on with it. Sometimes, do you know what I mean? It's just you couldn't do, but or just wait for the barrage of beats to stop. And you're like, right, okay, there's a break. Let me give it, see if anyone's still out there. Do you know what I'm saying? But then, depending on the night, you were in it.
Yeah, okay.
Because you kind of built up to it. Do you know what I mean? Also, we kind of developed skanking. So even though the tunes were going like racing along, you'd hit the half beat. So you then get like a skank going on. Do you know what I mean? So that's how you could maintain a night.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But if you wanted to then go out and then try and hit every beat, then go for it. Do you know what I mean?
Cy Rose asks a question about techno rooms at events. And he says, do you think a lot of the techno rooms at events, which often had poor sound and setups, was seen as an afterthought to pull in a few more people through the door by promoters? And do you think that a lot of UK promoters didn't really respect the harder styles and crowds that followed it in that regard?
We used to get a bit of a raw deal in the back rooms all the time. Do you know what I mean? All we wanted to do is go and have a party, but then you'd have to go and deal with needle jumping or no needle. But yeah, it wasn't no lights sometimes. But I think we just kind of just thought, right, okay, we went and did the best of what we had, what we were given. And over time, when people kind of realised, those rooms started getting more popular. Then we started getting better. I mean, that's why certain things like Technodrome was good, because they gave us a decent rig and decent setup. Do you know what I mean? Dreamscapes, they were good because we had a decent rig and decent setup. So who else was there? It was those ones that actually gave us. I mean, they gave us the rig, and they gave us drinks and stuff. Even, do you know what I mean? They practically used to give us drinks.
Did Murray and Dave like that music, or did they just respect the fact that everyone should be playing on a decent system and being treated like
I think they kind of just respected all angles of the scene, and they wanted to represent that. Do you know what I mean? So, but they met us and thought that we were cool, because they just used to leave us to get on with it. Take us to the room, they'd come and say hi at the beginning of the night. Do you know what I mean? Show us where our drinks and stuff were, because you used to get drinks and shit back then. Do you know what I mean? It's all there. Come and make sure we were cool, make sure the rig was all right for us, make sure everything was good, and then we just got on with it. And then they'll pop up every now and again, and the room will be jumping. They'll be happy. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's just a case of they were just making sure that they represented all the genres within the scene that they were in.
Is there? I know you like all sorts of music, but is there any kind of rave music that you don't like? And the reason I asked this is that there was a listen to a Fubar set that you were on. Is that up in Scotland? And
right.
Is it in Scotland? I guess it is.
Yeah, it sounds. I think Fubar was. Yeah, that's an old school name. Fubar.
Yeah. And they were playing a trance core set, and it was great. And then all of a sudden, the music's gone down, and they bring in the intro, and you obviously know what it is. You can obviously tell it's quite a cheesy happy car. I can't remember what tune it was, but you went changing up the styles now, bringing in some happy hardcore style. Not quite sure why, and it was like you didn't need to say it, but the disdain in your voice was clear. And I can appreciate that you're going from a music that is like you're having a good time to someone that's like. But the reason I ask is, did you really like a lot of where happy hardcore ended up towards the 90s? Because it seems like perhaps you didn't.
It got to a point where there's too many breakdowns for me. Yeah, granted, them breakdowns suited your lyrical MC. I'm not a lyrical MC. Do you know what I mean? So I will be repeating myself like X amount of times in one tune. So it doesn't really work for me. Do you know what I mean? I get caught in the grooves, walking through the room and stuff. But it just got to a point where I suppose it got to a point where it's the music changed, I suppose, to fit the MCing, and that wasn't for me. I mean, like I get asked to do. I mean, like, I MC'd for WizKid. It seems like ages ago now. Recently, it seems I'm at the beginning of last year, I think, for Mark Smith's birthday. That was brilliant. Do you know what I mean? But I can't do that every weekend or every gig. I don't mind doing a one-off kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just fun.
Did you? I asked MCMC this because he didn't really like where hardcore went towards the end of the 90s, and he was, you know, he was like, it was a shame that the scene split, but it was unavoidable because it was changing so vastly from what it was. Do you, as an MC, because you're not creating music, I mean, a lot of the DJs are producers too, so it's like, well, I make what I play, right? So that's whereas an MC, obviously, you don't do that. You have no power. Did you feel powerless over the fact that, oh God, there's so many breakdowns in here, it's not really suiting me, and I don't?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I didn't have to be there. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have to be there. So I mean, and I liked other things, so that's why I kind of had other things. Do you know what I mean? So you kind of got. So I can't even. Yeah, I had other things, so I didn't really. It didn't really bother me too much because I listened to techno, listened to jungle. I like my techno, I like my jungle, I like my tech house, I like my house. Do you know what I mean? I like my electro, I like the broken beats. I liked it all. So if Happy Hardcore wanted to go down that road, great. Okay, cool, not a problem. Because I like this too. Do you know what I mean? If I'm out at a rave and I'd get on the Happy Hardcore stage and have a little jig around. Do you know what I mean? I ain't got a problem with it. It's just and I might jump on the mic and have a shout here or there if I'm offered it. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not gonna manage doing it all night anymore because it ain't really me. There's a scene now. There's other MCs that can do that. Your Storms, your Watsies, your WizKids. Do you know what I mean? That's what they do. So like, and it's nice to be asked to go and do that because just out of respect, because it's like it's Ribbz. And they know that's where I've come from, that main stage, high energy thing. Do you know what I mean? So I'd always go and grace it and stuff, but I wouldn't necessarily, and I wouldn't necessarily go and do a whole night of it.
X amount of pressure, X amount of roar.
You're listening to the 90s Rave podcast with me, Tom Latcham, interviewing MC Ribbz. If you want to get in touch with us, hello at the 90s Rave podcast.co.uk. You can help us be funded at gofundme.com/90s Rave podcast. And you can follow us on all your social media channels. And there's loads of stuff going on. So why not join the community? So, Sean, you've played with all the DJs, basically. Which are the DJs that you most enjoyed playing with and why?
I liked a lot of the techno jocks, like your Trevor Rockcliffs, Colin Dales, Colin Favors, Dave Angels, kind of like that, because it's just some groove stuff and I could just talk my way through it. Do you know what I mean? And just have a good time with that. With regards to hardcore DJs, it would be DJ Scorps would be one of the tops up there, and then obviously Luke. Then there'll be different level jocks.
Luke is producer, by the way, if you don't know. Luke.
Yeah, then there'll be like good party jocks like Jay Prescott was good, Worm Horizon was good. Do you know what I mean? Addiction, Tones. They're all really good jocks, technically good jocks. Do you know what I mean? That breakdown is where you expect that breakdown to be. Do you know what I mean? The tune kicks off when you expect. So those guys, and then I quite liked a lot of, because I got the beginning, because I used to get to the part at the beginning of the night. I used to quite like a lot of the jocks who played at the beginning of the night because they were pulling out tunes. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, because do you know what I mean? They're in a good position. Pull out tunes, and then you're helping them, and they hope to get the things going. Do you know what I mean? So, and then I suppose for the bigger parties, I mean, I've been really spoiled with things like Universe and Fantasia, because you get to MC for some like Carl Cox and Groove Rider and all these people. Do you know what I mean? It's like that wouldn't happen now. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, yeah, those are a couple that stick out initially, and then there are other jocks who do like techno nights in Plymouth and Exeter and stuff, who I like to go and MC for, because that's just just a different level altogether again. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so there's a very good variation. There's some tech house jocks that I like to MC for, who are local to me here. Do you know what I mean? I go down and do their nights, and so it doesn't always have to be like a big party or main stage. Do you know what I mean? It's just got to be a good jocks playing good tunes.
Well, you've talked about your favourite raves that you played at over the years. Were there any raves that you just didn't like? You just thought, this is shit, or I hate this, or I don't like the promoter, whatever. Like, is there any raves that you just thought, nah, they're really not my vibe?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, Geezer, you wouldn't be going to a party if you felt like that. Anyway, but then again, you might not have known that until you got there. But there was one party that I went to that, I think it might have been the party that made me realise that one party a weekend, Sean. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, I'd done 3 gigs this weekend, and 2 of them were in the southwest, and the other one was up north somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So 2, like, I don't know, half an hour, 20 minutes away from each other, both rammed, by the way. And then I jump in the car, hour and a half, get down to this party, and yeah, man, it was a bit of an eye-opener. The stage was like overrun with people. The tent was flapping around because it was raining. Do you know what I mean? And back then, crack cocaine had just come about, and that stunk out the stage.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So that kind of made me feel a little bit uneasy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So I kind of left that not feeling like I'd done it any justice. Do you know what I mean? I just kind of walked away going, what the fuck? I didn't feel like I'd done it. I did a good job, and I wasn't happy with the surroundings. Do you know what I mean? And I think it all cut that, leaving 2 good parties and then driving for a couple of hours to something, and it wasn't what you kind of expected. Just kind of made it not a good experience for me. So
you sound, and I don't take this wrong way, because I don't mean it that way. From what I know of you, what little I know of you, you sound quite sensitive, and that's not a bad thing. Like that, you know, and particularly it's quite rare among MCs. But you know, you seem quite sensitive, and there was a period, you know, so you would have been at Quest doing a residency, and there was a period in the mid-90s, I'm not saying it happened at Quest, but at those sort of events up north in the Midlands, where there were gangs and that sort of stuff. Birmingham had a lot of problems with gangs and crack cocaine and that sort of stuff. How did you feel about, being as you are a sensitive soul who doesn't like the smell of crack cocaine? How did you...
No, don't get me wrong. It won't.
Oh, he loves it. No, he loves crack cocaine.
Oh, what? Dave, go there, man. I'm painting the picture for you, yeah.
No, but I'm sort of being serious.
You've even got smell-o-vision now. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm giving you what the smell and the aroma of your environment.
I wouldn't know what it smelled like, Sean. I've lived a saintly life.
Very good. It's very chemically, but it was a weird.
I do really. I'm sort of just saying that.
There you go. Anyway. You know what I'm talking about. It was just very strange.
But there were gunshots going off in raves around about that era, in sort of that mid-90s period of, you know, the northern or sort of Midlands jungle raves. Fabio and Groove Rider talked about it. You know, they were like, people were letting off guns into the roof.
Dude,
and all that stuff.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I never heard any guns going off.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? In my time of going out. Now I didn't even see any trouble, but I was, again, proper naive. Do you know what I mean? I would go out, go on the stage, do my thing all night, because it was just me and you guys. Do you know what I mean? and then I would leave, get paid, and go home. That's what I would do. Do you know what I mean? I did have someone threaten to pull a gun on me once, and it was when I just.
Who? You don't have to name them.
I'm not even gonna.
What?
I'm not even gonna tell you what part of the country I was in.
What was it? Who? No, but who did it? Like, it was like a raver, or was it what?
It was another MC.
What?
Yeah, and it's when I'd kind of just started going out. I'd moved down to Bristol at the time, and I just started going out to other areas. And I was on stage, meet Eager Beaver. You know what I mean? Do my little wiggle. Should do on stage. You know what I mean? Getting into it and stuff. And I don't know. He just kind of just said this thing like, "It's my territory. Be careful, you know. I'll shoot you," something like that. And I was like, "Good thing I'm only here for the night." Do you know what I mean? And I did my thing and I left. We became good mates after that.
Lovely guy.
Yeah. we became really good friends. You know what I mean? We're still good friends now to this very day. But yeah, that was the first conversation I had with that person.
How did you feel when someone actually threatened to shoot you for basically just doing your job?
I don't know. It's a bit of a weird thing, really. It's like,
you're telling me.
A bit like, well, he just threatened to shoot me. Really? But then I just kind of just looked at it realistically and go, well, I'm only here for the night. I'm not here to take your world. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna do this and leave. And so that's what I did.
Sir, quickly. Okay, won't be back. Thank you. Bye.
But yeah, it's like, got to change my trousers when I got in the car. Do you know what I mean? It's like, fuck, got my colours out.
Something smells like shit around here. Oh no, it's me actually. I've just been threatened with a gun by a fellow MC. And did you ever get stitched up by any promoters? Because I think that's something that we hear of over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I used to, not stitched up. I would get asked if I would take a reduction. Do you know what I mean? So that's a nice way of saying I haven't got all your money.
Right. Did you have any choice about that? I mean, or it was just like?
Oh, well, no, you don't. I mean, no, you don't have any choice. I mean, you've really been out. You've had a good night. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but I mean, you learn from that, and you get the money up front nowadays.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? You just thought, but then it's like, that's why having a job was helped. Do you know what I mean? Because you didn't walk away feeling, you walked away feeling a bit gutted, but you didn't walk away thinking, oh, I can't pay the bills. Do you know what I mean?
Did when you went down to one gig a night because of the decision that you made due to that event, and also becoming a dad and all that sort of stuff, did that change? You viewed the whole thing and make it more enjoyable?
I did. The reason why I got a job was to make it keep it enjoyable. That's why I got a job, to keep it enjoyable. Because I don't have any plans or focus to want to do it big. I've never thought of it. Even when I had a sound system, I never thought make it big. It's just like, do this now. Do you know what I mean? And it's only like over time and watching other people. Like there's times I've gone away. Do you know what I mean? And I was in Australia, and we did the party, and we had Norman J, Carl Cox, Laurent Garnier, myself, one other, I think, Carl Cox, and did the party. Do you know what I mean? What you do, and then afterwards you go around the back, and then you have these interviews. Do you know what I mean? And that's when it kind of dawned on me that, boy, people have got a different agenda, because they were talking about what records they got coming out, what shows they got coming out, this and that. They had this promotion thing that they were promoting themselves, and it came to me, and they asked me questions. It's like, well, just raving. Do you know what I mean? I had nothing to promote, nothing whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? It was like, right, okay, this is a different game. I mean, yeah, and I'm still that way now. I mean, like, I kind of muck about with toys and whatnot, but I don't really. If something comes up, then something comes up. That's how I see it.
It's healthy. I think it's a healthy way to be. We've talked about what DJs you liked. What MCs did you rate? Actually, you know what? You've talked in the past previously about the sort of drum and bass MCs. Really, were there any hardcore MCs that you really rated?
Yeah, I kind of liked. I mean, it goes without saying, there's Whiskers and the Storms, Watsies. Back in the day, it was like Odyssey, Sharky, Marley. Do you know what I mean?
What do you like in an MC? What is it? What's a quality that you like?
I think it's the just as I that having the hosting and the lyrics, but the balance. Do you know what I mean? But being kind of just a bit laid back about it. Do you know what I mean? That is what I kind of like. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, just that hosting quality. Really, I think that's just what I look for in an MC. Do you know what I mean? Like I heard an MC that Randall was on. Randall was that was on with Randall. And at the beginning of the lockdown, he didn't do very many broadcasts at the time. And this guy came on, and I was just like, rah, he's a bad boy. I'd never seen him again. Do you know what I mean? But he was wicked. Do you know what I mean? I came off, I was just like, I ain't seen an MC like that for a long time. I can't remember his name either. I do remember talking to a couple of people about him too, because he just carried himself really well. Do you know? But again, he just lyrics were right at the right time. It stopped at the right time. It was like conscious shit. It's like, yeah, you're like, boy, good. It was really good. But I can't remember his name. I'm gonna go and try and find him, because, as I said, at the very beginning of the lockdown, Randall didn't do many, and it wasn't very long either. It was like a half an hour, 35 minutes kind of slot. But it was good.
Send it through when you find it, because I'd like to have a listen as well.
Right.
We interviewed Watsy for a more raw a few like early on in our run, and
all right. How long ago was that?
Oh, about 5 months ago. About 4
Watsy, is it?
Okay. Yeah, and he speaks very highly of you. He said hello, and he said that he faced real problems with MC and politics. Now, he didn't get into MCing until 2000, 2001. Yeah. But the people he faced issues with politics-wise were the MCs that were around in the 90s. Did you ever experience any issues with MC politics? What were the sort of things that went on?
I think I might have been seen as a bit of an old fogan that's kept out of the picture. I didn't. I got called into. We got invited to a discussion, which had loads of MCs who MC'd on the rave scene at the time, and I think it was to do with being bounced, or the prices that people were paying or were charging. And because even though you saw lots of rave MCs at parties, you weren't around them long enough to discuss issues unless it was a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? But there was obviously a spout of people being bounced, and it was a case of getting together and having a chat, working out how to deal with that. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't keep bouncing people and then people that are still going out and working for them. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a bit counterproductive, really, isn't it? So we just kind of pulled together.
An MC union.
Yeah, to an extent. Do you know? To an extent.
Get little membership cards and that sort of thing.
No.
Oh, I don't want to break it to you, mate, but I think the others did.
Oh, did they?
No.
What? I told you, it's that OAP business, isn't it?
Of course they didn't, you muppet. Well, I'm told by a lot of people.
I told you, there you go. There's that naivety again.
Naivety, yeah. All right, I'll get you a little card, a little MC Union card with your face on. It says no shouts on it.
Yeah.
I'm told by a lot of people that you are one of the more decent people in the scene. You don't really go in for those politics. Is it a deliberate decision?
Yeah, I try to keep away from the politics as much as I can. But yeah, I try to. You can't. I mean, Yeah. It's a difficult one, Geezer. I mean, it is a difficult one, because I've been in it or seen it happen, and yeah, it's hard because you do have to make a decision. Well, people make decisions for you. That's what they do. Do you know what I mean? It's better because you don't get booked anymore or whatever because you're doing you're working for that promoter during the day. But I try to keep away from the politics. I know it sounds a bit
How have you managed
selfish.
it?
Well, how have you managed it? I mean, what is the outcome of bad politics? The outcome of bad politics is that you don't get any gigs in a certain place. So you just got to be content with where you've got your gigs, basically. Is what that boils down to.
And is that helped by it not being a job?
Not being a what?
Not being a job. You know,
not being a job, exactly. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course, because you don't want the politics to happen. Do you know what I mean? You want people to sort it out for whatever it is. But yeah, having a job means that you don't really have to go out and do all the gigs, which means you're just doing the gigs that you really, really want to do. And if you're doing it right, then you're not working for anything that's got any politics involved with it.
And finally, in this little segment, we're going back to your card that says no shouts on it.
Right.
You are famous for saying that line. It's
no shout out,
no shouts, time to dance, etc.,
And then
etc.
the next breath, I'm shouting out the world.
Yes, right. Annoying the person that's been tugging on your jeans for the last hour. Do you just hate giving shouts, or are you just really horrible?
No, it's. I think that happened when I realised that it was a thing. It was like no shout outs. Well, because basically what happened is that I was going on the floor to dance with you, and you're on the floor dancing and you've got the mic in your hand, but it kind of works when you're dancing them seeing, do you know what I mean? But because you're on the floor, everyone's on your case doing shout outs. And I'm not saying that people should be mindful or realize how many shout outs I've just done, but they don't. They'll just keep asking.
It's as though they're all on drugs, Sean.
So that's why that's happened. Yeah, it's like it's almost like a zombie state. Shout out.
Hold on, I'm interested because you said, it became a thing. When did it start? When did it start, shouts? When did it become a thing? I guess it was tape.
Well, shout outs have always been there, but it was a case of, I think you know what? It might have been Birkenhead. The Birkenhead kind of.
Of course it was.
When I first became aware of Birkenhead was the shout out. So it might have been a Birkenhead thing. So a big shout out to the Birkenheads.
I mean, honestly, they have done so much for tourist relations in terms of just getting their name. Because when I first listened to Tape Packs, I was like, what the fuck is Birkenhead? Like, what is a Birkenhead?
Yeah, they put them on the map.
They did. I mean, not always in a good way, but you know, they did. They 100% did.
You've got to start somewhere.
You do, and if anyone, I know we've got a few Birkenhead listeners. We love you all, man. Like you kept.
No respect you. No respect
alive, man.
Yeah, for real. They've lit up the floor. Do you know what I mean? When they walk in, there's not just them. I mean, you've got, but yeah, they were definitely noticeable. Do you know what I mean?
That's a polite way of putting it, Sean. Well done.
I've got a lot of love for Birkenhead, so yeah, they know the score. It's all good.
Well, we hope you're enjoying today's episode of Raw, and that's where we ask you inevitably for your help to keep this project rolling on. We're a tight-knit team of 4 working part-time for free, taking no wages out of this project to create this podcast, and it's quite a serious undertaking alongside our normal day jobs. Hopefully you can see from our progression from audio to video in the few months since we started this podcast that, thanks to your ongoing donations, we've managed to improve our equipment. And I'm pleased to say your generosity means this podcast now washes its own face in terms of costs, which is absolutely great news. And thank you so much to any of you who've donated. We've got big plans for the future, but we aren't going to be able to do it without your support. So if you want us to keep making Raw, you're going to need to keep on funding Raw.
and that will help with the cost of renting or buying recording kit and paying expenses to travel the country and interview more of your favourite rave artists from the 90s. So if you can spare anything at all, no matter how big or how small, you can do so at gofundme.com/the 90s Rave podcast. That URL again is gofundme.com/the 90s Rave podcast. And if you're not in a position to donate, we know it's a tough time for everybody, you can instead help by subscribing and sharing our content on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. You just need to search for Raw, the 90s Rave podcast. Go and do that now, please. Massive love and respect to each and every one of you.
So, Sean, you started as a DJ, you became an MC, but you do still DJ out, and it largely tends to be techno, doesn't it? Why is it techno when you are into so many different other styles?
It's only techno because I don't know. I like my techno, man. I like the grooves. I like the way you put it together. How you can, do you know what I mean? It just takes on a bit of a journey. But I didn't always start playing techno. I mean, I used to play drum and bass. I used to buy lots of drum and bass. Do you know what I mean? And jungle techno, and then before that, I used to buy all the early rave stuff, like all the Warp records, and do you know what I mean? It's just I used to buy all of that, acid house, and then I worked at a record distribution company, and gained a load more tunes. Just fed the need for all the other different genres that I liked. Do you know what I mean? So I'd play a lot of different music at home to myself in the mix, just so I can mix it. So I'd have chunks of house, just so that I can go in the mix of house and have a good session with it. Do you know what I mean? And that. But then techno, I don't know. It's just something that I just like. I just like the grooves. Do you know what I mean? I think I got into it deep when the Swedish boys came in. Do you know what I mean? Your Adam Bears and your Carries and Thomas Croves and all that, and they started kind of.
You like Adam Beyer?
Don't be dissing the man. I mean, he was a bad boy back in the.
Boring man.
He was a bad boy back in the day, but then I hear what you're saying,
mate. He is if you're a woman. If you're a girl, you might like Adam Beyer, right?
Interesting. That's quite interesting to hear because he was I used to work for Prime Distribution, who was the home for Adam Beyer's Drum Code and Code Red label back in the day, and it was serious shit. Do you know what I mean? Everybody wanted to be that. Do you know what I mean? The amount of spin-offs.
To be fair, I'd quite like to be Adam Beyer, but that doesn't mean I like his music. I mean, I'm interviewing in my loft, so
yeah. But then again, I don't know. I mean, like Adam Beyer. I mean, when did you start raving?
He commands thousands and thousands of pounds.
When did you start raving?
2000. Thank you for pointing.
Right, okay, cool. So 2000. So in 2000, I was working in record distribution in London, and had I been working? And I was buying those tunes back then. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, you would. What did you get into?
What, a happy hardcore?
Yeah, so you wouldn't be listening to Adam Beyer on that anyway. He would have been.
No. I mean, I saw Adam Beyer at Ultra Music Festival.
How long was that?
A couple of years ago.
But then again, I mean, what he's doing now, it's questionable. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
You're so polite. Love it. Even when you quite clearly think something's absolute dog turd.
No,
I've got to put. It's got its qualities.
I got to put the shit in context. Do you know what I'm saying? He's doing what Sven Vath did back in the day with Heart House recordings and IQ and all that kind of. Sorry, with IQ recordings and all that. So it's just a case of just putting it in context.
Yeah, I mean, those guys have got some life. I tell you. I mean, what fucking. I mean, although you could also work in IT and do the odd gig from time to time. It's all got its positives, doesn't it? And Helmut Leichenberg says that your techno. This is a real praise, actually. He says that your techno sets are the stuff of legend. Alongside Warlock, etc., very serious heads down music for proper rude boys, no cheesy quavers. He wanted me to ask you about the Revelation nights in Plymouth, to ask about playing some of those deeper, harder techno acid records to predominantly happy and Gabber crowds, and how that worked and how they responded.
Well, the thing is, it was known for that. Do you know what I mean? So it was again. I mean, Plymouth, the Southwest was kind of, they were open to a lot of different music. So they were up for that. I mean, they were up for us experimenting with those tunes. Do you know what I mean? And it was good times. It was us trying to find our feet, trying to understand what this was, where it's going. Do you know what I mean? So and the residents for that were myself, Mac One ran the show. Do you know what I mean? Myself, DJ producer, Rossi, Aphasia, and we had some boys. We had Carl Cox was there like all the time. Easy Groove was there all the time. Billy Nasty, Frank the Wolf. We had some boys, but prior to that, it was Revelation was breakbeat. I found an old flyer the other day that had Bookham on it. Do you know what I mean? And I think they might have had Swanee there and a couple of others. So, and that was when Asen was around. I don't know if you remember Asen. Yeah. So yeah, that's that era. Do you know what I mean? Of breakbeat, where it was all kind of futuristic and it had the techie elements to it, stuff like that. And then we kind of went on the techno side, because drum and bass definitely did us definite. Right, we're going to do this. So I then made the conscious decision to go techno.
And what's been your favorite DJ set?
Too many. There's been too many. It's not, you know what? It's not necessarily a set. I think it's going to be like a party or a collection of parties. Do you know what I mean? Because I've had some good DJs at after parties. Do you know what I mean? Or good DJ. So I can't really. I can't answer that. They've had some good ones.
Why did you decide to be an MC rather than a DJ when it's quite clear that what does it for you is the tunes? You say it again and again and again. So why didn't you decide to pursue the DJ route?
There's a couple. I don't know if I should say this. There's a couple of when I first realised about raves and the amount of jocks there were. Do you know what I mean? I thought, okay, look, I'm gonna try and go. I think because the MC thing kind of took off unexpectedly, I thought, right, okay, I'm gonna run with this and see if I can get in as an MC and then flip it as a DJ. Do you know what I mean? And I had too much of a good time as an MC, really.
Right.
To be honest with you, do you know what I mean? The jocks were bad, as in good.
I mean, also going back to your non-writing of lyrics, like no one likes doing homework, do they? Whereas if you're a DJ, you've got to do loads of homework, man. And like also if you're an MC that writes bars, you've got to do your homework. You've got it fucking made, mate. You just turn up and you go, ladies, are you having a good time? Welcome to the party, etc. And it's like, happy days, see you later. I'll have my money. All right, yeah, it's reduced, but that's fine, but I'll have it anyway.
whoa condensed. Right, okay. Yeah.
Lovely existence. What a lovely career.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, dude, as I said, it's just been fun. It hasn't been no calculations. I haven't gone, right, okay, I want to do this, and have never. It just happened. Do you know what I mean? It just happened, and it all stemmed from doing that Xena's night, really. Do you know what I mean? Meeting Simon.
Do you wish you'd got more DJ bookings?
Not really, because I mean, I couldn't find them tunes. As much as I go to the record shops all the time, do you know what I mean? It's like I'm going out and I'm hearing tunes that I can't get hold of. Do you know what I mean? So I was quite happy just to hear the tunes, to be very honest with you, because and then over time you get the tunes. Do you know what I mean? But to have DJs play them tunes well, do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's been good to be able to MC to them.
Do you have a crowning moment of the 90s? A moment that you look back on and you go, that was I think the if I was going to be really honest about it, I think the Universe parties are going to be the ones that I go, that's it, because I was their resident MC. I went and collected the award for best rave at the Albert Hall Forum. Do you know what I mean? Really?
Yeah.
Wicked. What
from
awards was
doing.
that?
There wasn't many exactly at the Albert Hall too.
Wow.
I've got a picture of it. Do you know what I mean? Of me stood there with the award for best promoter, and I
Amazing.
went along and picked that up. But yeah, because they had faith in me and they let me get on with it, and I met Prodigy and everyone who played and everyone who worked there. I met. Do you know what I mean? Because I was the host MC. Do you know what I mean? So I think that'd have been. And stop. I'm gonna just backtrack a little bit. Plymouth has got a lot to play because when jocks used to come down to Plymouth, there was no such thing as a VIP area. Do you know what I mean? They were on the floor with you, or still on the bar with you. Do you know what I mean? So I got to meet a lot of people that way. Do you know what I mean? Because they'd come down to play, and like a Jumping Jack Frost was a prime example. I was stood in the queue as a raver. I used to listen to him on pirate radio. Do you know what I mean? I stood in the queue as a raver because I was studying in Plymouth. One of the first raves that had ever gone on up there. So I went along, stood in the queue. He's coming along with his bag on his shoulder. Went along the queue, looked at me, went, you. Went along, and he got me in for free. Do you know what I mean? I was like,
Wow.
right, okay. Do you know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So yeah, so I think Plymouth kind of got me good close. And gave me exposure to the jocks because they had to stand on the floor with you, and then Universe, I think, for the experience of, because they just used to always try something different. They always tried something different. Fantasia used to do that too. Do you know what I mean? Have a stage going down into the crowd. Do you know what I mean? And then you just walk in and it's just heads all around you. Do you know what I mean? So they always used to try something different and yeah, make it exciting. So I'd say 91, 92, 93, 94. Yeah.
That's all the years basically.
Yeah.
You've named half a decade. Like, I don't mean you can. That's not 1 year. That's not your favourite year, is it? That's your favourite
No,
5
exactly.
years of 10.
Exactly, because because it wasn't just that. Off the back of that, you had your fibre optics, you had your dance planets, you had. Do you know what I mean? You had all these other things going on. Then you had the smaller clubs as well, which were banned, like your Ecstatics in Bristol. Do you know what I mean? It was massive. Do you know what I mean? So you had these things that were feeding the sea, and the sea was just fresh and new. And then you had Basement Records open. You'd go down to Basement Records. So there's like a big movement going on. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. It's not. There you go. I can't really put it down to a party. There's so much going on. Do you know what I mean? That made you think brilliant, and you could, yeah. That's it. Stop.
You're listening to the 90s Rave podcast with me, Tom Latcham, talking to MC Ribbz. We'll be back very shortly to wrap this all up and talk a bit about what Ribbz is doing right now, which is not a whole lot.
Your name's not down, you're not coming in.
So as we complete this interview with MC Ribbz here on Raw, the 90s Rave podcast with me, your host, Tom Latcham, we're going to bring you up to date with what he's doing now when he's not living in the country with chickens and pigs and goats and whatever you want. What?
Pigs?
I don't know. I haven't been to the country in a while. I've not left home in 9 months. Nobody, of course, is playing out at the moment, and I know that you've scaled back a lot of what you do. But when you do play out, do you get the same buzz you did 30 years ago?
Yeah, I do. I mean, yeah, I do. I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm doing now is local. Do you know what I mean? It would be Western Supermare or Plymouth or Exeter. So it's just a case. Yeah, no, they are. I mean, especially when you go to something like Love Summer, which is like the festival in Plymouth, and then you're around your mates who have been around before you were Ribbz. Do you know what I mean? So they know you before you were that person, so it kind of keeps you grounded. But they're good jocks. They play good tunes, and that's what it's about. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and they always pull out a good selection of music, which is always nice to MC to.
And when we go out of COVID again, do you think you can still last all night? And that's not me asking you for sex again, by the way. I should point out. At this juncture.
I have I don't know if I could do all night anymore. It's a weird one, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, you kind of in your head, you have your old. It's just the young you in your head until you go out and you deal with it and you have a go. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll see.
Okay. And how do you feel about not being able to perform? A lot of people we speak to, if not relied on it, it was made up a large portion of or a portion of their income, but it doesn't really for you, I don't think, by the sounds of it. So it is about the buzz. But how much do you miss performing?
At the moment, no. I think it's a case of if it was happening, you wish you were there. Do you know what I mean? But nothing's happening. So no, I mean I've kind of going out my way to make myself available to do broadcasts and stuff, which is a form of performing. Do you know what I mean? But no, I mean I've got like a couple of residencies that I do. That keeps me happy, which are local, like a tech house shuffle in Weston-super-Mare, or I might go down to Biscuits or there's in Plymouth. So just kind of just because they play good tunes. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to hear some good music. I'm going to have a good night, good people. But yeah, I mean, and then Chapel of Chaos might happen every now and again. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm doing enough. I'm just keeping it real at the end of the day. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to be that same person that I was back in the 90s. Do you know what I mean? I won't be able to do it to that level. It's not around.
No, well, that actually brings me on to my next question: is how you view the current rave scene. Obviously, prior to COVID, how you view the current rave scene and how it stood.
I can't even remember what it was like. It's weird, isn't it? It's like erase. It was struggling, if you ask me. It was struggling before the whole COVID thing happened.
Struggling in what way?
Well, I think for numbers and direction, to be quite honest with you.
Do you mean UK hardcore in particular, or generally?
Well, you can't. It all helped itself. It all fed UK. With UK hardcore, we had a back room. Do you know what I mean? They would give us a back room, so it kind of all worked hand in hand. Do you know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, and that, granted, it might not have been ideal, but it worked. But I think it was all kind of. I think it was struggling. It wasn't like how it was. I mean, there were some upsets with the Gabber scene splitting and all that kind of stuff, and it just kind of all. The COVID didn't help because it was finding a way. Do you know what I mean? If anything, with COVID, what COVID's doing is helping people take stock and get ready for when things do come back.
Do you think there will be an explosion after this?
I'm really optimistic. I think there is going to be. Might be for a short period of time, but I think there will be. And those who are active, I suppose, on social media will be the ones to watch.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about the return of Helter Skelter. You were a regular, if not a resident, there in the Technodrome back in the 90s. One of the biggest parties of the 90s. Would you welcome a return?
I thought my mouth so many times with this, where people have said, I'm going to do a reunion party, and I go, yeah, don't do that. That's not a good idea. And all of a sudden, they've prospered with it all. So I'm going to say, it'll be great to do one more, and see how it goes. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully we'll go and do one more. There'll be a fresh new bunch of people ready to take it on and move it on for another 10 years.
But even if it's a good one-off, I mean, you went to Resurrection, weren't you? You were performing there at the reunion. Was it a year and a bit ago?
Yeah.
It was a real success, right?
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, I mean, that was really good. I mean, diverse selection of tunes. I mean, you haven't seen anything like that for a long time, where the jocks, the BPMs varied, which was good, up and down, and the crowd stayed there for it too. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think I mean, that's what happened with the split, right? And then it went off in so many different directions. But so we spoke to Force and Styles a while ago on the pod, and they said that they hope, whatever, that when COVID's gone, what might happen is there might become more of a return to mixed arenas, because we've moved so far apart. But actually, if it comes back together a bit more, and they did point out, they said that, you know, like on the continent they do that a lot more. It's only really in the UK we've got that sort of split and divergence.
When you think the UK, that's how it used to be. You used to have that split, that thing, but that can work. That can work. I can't see why that can't work. It'll be it'll be nice if that could work.
But you don't. But you suspect
it'd be nice.
It probably
well,
won't.
yeah. You've got to. I mean, you've got that. Those people on the floor have got to like everything that's coming at them, and it's such a vast difference between styles. The chances of your drum and bass guy hanging around and listening to Force and Stars, no disrespect to that, it's not going to happen. You're going to get vast movements happening. It'll be nice. That's what I'm going to say. It'll be nice if that could work. Do you know what I mean?
I've asked you all about all the styles, except really about drum and bass. You used to do that at Quest and various things, and you don't really do it anymore.
No.
Why?
Because well, when I got asked to do the fabrics for Bookham, and I kind of just wanted to focus on techno, really. Do you know what I mean? I was because I hadn't really put any effort into techno. I'm gonna lie to you. I'd buy the tunes, and then I wouldn't take the gigs because I'd be too busy emceeing. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, whilst I was kind of taking time out with my little boy, do you know what I mean? I would kind of focus on the techno, because that's why I kind of moved away from that, really. Do you know what I mean?
In terms of DJing or MCing?
In terms of MCing, I mean, drum and bass, you had to make it. Do you know what I mean? I don't make it. I love it. I used to buy it. I used to work in loads of record shops, and I used to collect. I've got some good early stuff. Do you know what I mean? The early Metalheads and Moving Shadows and Full Cycle, just stuff that I used to pick up when I was at record shops, but I just didn't go down that road, really. I just sat with the.
But I think you're fantastic on drum and bass. I've seen you. There's a YouTube video which is well worth digging out. It's from Vegan Fest or something.
Right, yeah, Veg Fest or something.
Strange thing to have, but anyway, they had Bookham and you hyping the crowd. Everyone's loving it, and
it's great. That was.
Yeah. So why don't you do more of that?
I don't know, because I've kind of got it in my head that drum and bass people know what they want to hear over their music, and drum and bass DJs know what MCs they want to hear over music. So I just kind of don't go there. I just leave it.
I think it's drum and bass is lost, Sean.
No, it's not. It's just a case of just. It's not the. I mean, I do get people asking me. I do get texts of people saying that they like from, I think, Birmingham, where they are, they're putting on some nights and they wanted me to go down and MC for them, which is nice. Do you know what I mean? And I thought I was going to go down and check it out, because I just thought, well, are you sure that you want me to? I'm going to come down and have a look and see what it's like. And then if I think that I kind of fit in and could do something with that, then I will go with it. Do you know what I mean? If I don't, then I won't. But they seem to like me, and they seem to think the same as you do. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, well,
so that's quite nice. So
there you go, mate. There you go. People would like to hear you on. I mean, actually, we've had people when we announced you sort of saying how much they loved hearing you on drum and bass and jungle system. It's a shame you don't do it anymore. So
well, but it's because I kind of associate it with lyrics now, and I'm not a lyrical MC.
GQ's not a lyricist.
Yeah, I know that, and he's one of the guys who's got that. balance right. Do you know what I mean? But then he's like AWOL and all that. He's fucking GQ at the end of the day.
Yeah, but you're fucking Ribbz.
I know. Yeah, whatever.
And on that note, you are fucking Ribbz, and we all fucking love you. So thank you so much for your time. We have thoroughly enjoyed this interview, and I hope everyone at home has enjoyed listening to it. You don't speak very often, but when you do, it means a lot, and it's been a pleasure. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me, and sorry if I haven't name checked any of you and I've forgotten you peeps, anyone.
But I thought you were a prick.
Whoa. No.
Yes, and I'm keeping that bit in.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed the latest episode of Raw. We've certainly enjoyed making it and bringing it to you, and we want to make more. But to do so, we are going to need some of your help, I'm afraid. We are just normal people with normal jobs. This is a hobby and not a very well paid one at that. In fact, it's not paid at all. We've invested quite a bit of our money to keep this show going, but we could really use some of your help as well. Any donation, big or small. We know it's a difficult time for you all out there. It's a difficult time for all of us. But any donation you can give, whatever size, will help us go towards improving our kit. It will help us get on the road, pay expenses to go and interview some of your 90s rave favourites, and also just keep bringing you some more banging 90s rave content. If you do feel able to help, that'd be great. If you don't, we do understand. But if you can, head over to gofundme.com/the 90s rave podcast. That address, I'll repeat just one more time, gofundme.com/the 90s rave podcast. And if you can't give any money or you want to join our community, why don't you head over to Twitter? Why don't you head over to Instagram? Why don't you head over to YouTube? And why don't you head over to Facebook? Search Raw, the 90s Rave podcast. Like us, subscribe to us, do all that. Get involved.